Hey, what is happening? What is going on? Welcome back to the channel, all your legends. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new here, as always, subscribe. And if you are a OG, welcome back. Glad you're still here. And yeah, thanks for supporting me on the channel. I really appreciate it. So when you want to create a cinematic scene, so like with fog or haze or that kind of stuff, you use volume, one of the volume nodes. But there are two. There's the volume scatter and then there's the principal volume. And a lot of times you wonder which one is best, which one should I use. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about both and why you'd use a certain one for certain scenes. And yeah, hopefully the video helps you. So let's get into Blender. Okay, so I've got a scene that I created. Simple scene. If I go here, you'll see everything is dark except I've obviously got a light on, which I'm not going to switch off. So let's go back here. Okay, so now we can obviously add a HDRI, but for the scene we're going to not use HDRI. So what I'll do is, obviously, the basics, we're going to add a cube and we scale it up. Okay, now we go new. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you guys to see. Okay, so you're obviously going to delete that and then you're going to type volume and you get this one you won't use. Obviously you get volume scatter, which is that one, and then you get principal volume. Okay, so now you can see this one is basic. It's got density, it's got the anisotropy. This one's got the same, but then it's got emission strength and a couple of other things. I don't really use this. I will sometimes use the emission strength and obviously the density and the color. Now obviously you're going to plug the one into the one. So now let's plug this one in first to the volume, and what you usually do is bring it down to about that, and then you usually change the color. Okay, now let's go into the scene and you can see nothing. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. So let me show you. So in this scene, when there's no world light and there's no like area light, sunlight, I will definitely use this, because what I do is I'd go density to about that, and then what I would do is I would use the emission strength, so something like that, and that lights the scene. Obviously I change it so like a blue, and that would be fine for the scene. You can obviously make the density 0, so if there's no, and then you can obviously change which won't do much, because I'll explain what this does in a bit later on. So if you got no HDRI, no other light, this is a great way to light the scene. Using the principal volume and then using the emission strength, because then you can obviously play around with it. Okay, now if I've got let's add a HDRI, so go here, and then hide the cube, and let's have a look. Okay, now obviously we'd make it, let me just change this quickly for you. We bring it to about 100. Okay, now you can see this is lit. So now if I go to object, go to the cube, let's go here, and then let's plug this to the volume and then add it. Okay, now we could obviously bring the density up and it will change and add a bit of fog. Now let's say, so yeah, you can use it for HDRIs, you can use this way as well, and all you do is you bring the density to about that, and you can obviously then also create it a bit more brighter. Still got that fog, but if I exit this, hide this cube, let's hide the HDRI, so it's deleted. Okay, make the background dark. Okay, now let's get a light. So this is when I would use the anisotropy. So let's get a light, Shift A, got a light, let's get a spotlight. Okay, and go to side view, just gonna bring it up, so G, go here, G, and then R. Okay, now let's go in here, and then let's bring this light up 50. Okay, let's blast it. Let's blast it some more. Alright, now let's bring this cube back, and then go to object, cube, let's go in here. Okay, now let's plug this in here, and you can see what that's doing. It's changing everything. So if we bring the density down, and then what we can do is bring this light down. So go to spotlight, make it about 2000, and then let's make it smaller, and then bring it in. Now zoom in. Okay, so this is also a cinematic scene, but let me just change this color. Okay, and then let's go to the cube. Now this anisotropy changes where the light, so that's it basically changes the power, but it's like if I can explain it, it's like putting on a torch, and then you can like make the torch brighter, make it less bright, if that makes sense. But obviously the lower the anisotropy, the closer the light beam goes. So you can play around with the anisotropy, and then obviously if you're using this scene, you can see this lights it a bit more with this and the density. So literally, to break it down for you, the easiest way that I choose between these two is I'll normally use this, but a lot of times I'll use this one if I don't need to use the emission strength, obviously. But if the scene is not lit by anything, then I'll obviously use that one. And to be honest, I actually prefer the principal volume with the emission strength up for my scene. So that's just my preference. But hopefully this video helped you. If it did, smash the like button. I'll see you next.